Hey Northside, welcome back to Holy Week. Today is Wednesday, and we're going to be focusing on Holy Wednesday or Spy Wednesday, which is just the betrayal of Jesus by Judas. It's a story that's mentioned in three of the Gospels, the Synoptic Gospels, Matthew, Mark, and Luke, and each of them has it pretty much the exact same, but here's how Luke 22 says it. It says, "Then Satan entered into Judas Iscariot, who was one of the 12 disciples, and he went to the leading priests and captains of the temple guard to discuss the best way to betray Jesus to them. They were delighted, and they promised to give him money. So he agreed and began looking for an opportunity to betray Jesus so they could arrest him when the crowds weren't around." Now, this is not a topic we talk about often, mainly because it's sad. I mean, one of Jesus' closest friends and followers on earth is enticed or tempted, some people even say guided, by Satan to betray him for 30 pieces of silver. And it's tough and it's disappointing, and it's not something we want to talk about very often. But what I want to do is talk less about what he did and more about how Jesus responded. You see, in all these Gospels, the exact next thing that happened in Scripture, it talks about Jesus' betrayal, and then the next thing is the Last Supper. And listen to what Jesus does at the Last Supper. This is in John 13. It says, "Before the Passover celebration, Jesus knew that his hour had come to leave this world and return to his Father. He had loved his disciples during his ministry on earth, and now he loved them to the very end. It was time for supper, and the devil had already prompted Judas, son of Simon Iscariot, to betray Jesus. Jesus knew that the Father had given him authority over everything, and that he had come from God and would return to God. So he got up from the table, took off his robe, wrapped a towel around his waist, and poured water into a basin. Then he began to wash the disciples' feet, drying them with the towel he had on around him." And what's interesting about this is that Jesus knew what Judas had done. In fact, just a few verses later, he talks about it. He says it explicitly. He knew that Judas had betrayed him. He knew he was the one that was going to do this. And yet, he still washed his feet. And there's two ways that we could look at this. The first way would just be, hey, as followers of Jesus, our job is to be so humble and have such humility that we serve anyone and we love anyone, regardless of how they view us. If they're trying to harm us, if they betrayed us, our job is still to wash their feet. But with it being Easter, Holy Week, I want to focus on something different. I want us to look at how Jesus knew the very worst of Judas and yet still washed his feet. You see, for us, Jesus knows our highest of highs, the things that we want other people to know, the things that we broadcast or put on social media. He knows all that stuff, but he knows the lowest of lows. And he knows that thing or that moment that you try to hide away and you try to push to the back of your memory or to out of the public eye. He knows all those things, and yet he died on the cross for us. And still, he loves us. Our challenge for today, in light of that, is to take some time today for some focused prayer that does two things. Number one, it gives Jesus those highest of highs. In those moments where you just feel on top of the world, where you're just like, man, I did this week, something awesome happened this week, I had this gift. Give that to Jesus and worship him for those moments in your life. But then the second thing would be to hand over those lowest of lows. Hand over those moments that you don't want to talk about, that you don't want to bring to Jesus, even though he already knows about them, so that he can redeem them and make them new. This is who Jesus is. He is making all things new. We'll see you tomorrow for Holy Week.